Hi, welcome to this Saturday's video, and I'm here today to share with you the last of my butterfly cards. I've made a few butterfly cards over the last month, and that's because we've had a new bundle available to us. It's a pre-release from the Stampin Up annual catalogue, and we've got to play with it, which has been great. So I'm just going to kind of get on with it and show you how to make it. Here it is. This is, oh, I've just realised my lights aren't on very well. There we go, that's better. This is the card we're going to make today, and it is a slimline card. If you haven't seen all the other videos that I've made using these butterflies, then just have a look back. If you're on Facebook, you will find them under the videos tab, but the easiest way to find them is under YouTube, as all my videos have got pictures of the cards on the front, so you can spot them. So a simple card. I'm all about the simple at the moment, and this is what we're going to be making today. So these colours are, the background is Misty Moonlight, then we've got a strip of basic black, a strip of mint macaron, wonder what that was for a minute, I made these a while ago, mint macaron, which has been, you can see all the texture on there on that background. And then I've got these butterflies. Now these were actually cut for some pattern paper, but the pattern paper was so popular it's already sold out. But you can get exactly the same effect with the coordinating stamp. So this is the stamp set. It's called Butterfly Brilliance. It has all these butterflies, but it's actually as one stamp on its own. So you would stamp all the images together, or you could, if you wanted to, you could cut each of the butterflies out and use them independently. Or what a lot of people are doing is buying two, keeping one whole and chopping the other one up. So it's entirely up to you and how you want to use it. But these butterflies that I'm using today are this butterfly here and this one here. So whilst these have just been die cut out of pattern paper, you could do exactly the same if you stamped those two and cut them out. So that would be your way around it if you haven't got the papers. If you have got the papers, then great, you can do this, no problem. But this is, if you haven't, then you can still get these stamps. As I say, it's a pre-release from the upcoming catalogue that is coming out on May the 4th. And so it's going to be available for over a year. So you'll be able to get your hands on those for over a year. And it does come with a set of coordinating dies called Brilliant Wings. And mine are all over the place at the moment. Look at that. So you've got, oh, it's still in there. You've got one of these. This stamp set isn't to size. In fact, let's see if I can do it that way. Goes, you stamp, is it that way? There we go, and do that. So once you stamped your image, get this on camera, you could die cut them all. So you could just stamp them all in black and cut them all out in one go. So one stamp, one die cut, rather than 6 individual ones. So that's one of the dies in the set. So that cuts all those out in one go. Or obviously you could cut all those out of plain card as well without the them being stamped, or the pattern paper. They did cut out the pattern paper perfectly. So that one there you can see is just using that die there, and that one there is using that die there. And so I got the pattern paper and I just literally cut them. But again, you could cut these out with scissors. It doesn't have to be with a die. And then there's lots of other dies as well. So these, so if you're unfamiliar, if you're new to card making and you're sitting there going, what is she talking about dyeing for? These are what we call dies. We have a die cutting machine. So this is a little mini one, just so you can see it on camera. So this is a die cutting machine, and you put things through that way. There's a roller in here which basically squeezes things together, and you feed them in that way. And they come out the other way. It's also how I got the embossing on this piece of paper as well. So this is a cut and emboss machine. You'll see different machines around. This is the Stampin' Up one. It's great because it's small. It's great because it flips up so it doesn't take much space up. They're light, they're smart and classy. And because my whole house is white and grey, they go perfectly. And so that is a die cutting machine, and these are dies. And you see that we have, they're flat, let's get that right up to camera, flat one side, that's the not correct side, that's the cutting side there. You can see all those lines, and if you raised your finger or put your finger over there, you won't cut yourself, but when you squeeze this together on a piece of card, it does cut things out. So these are dies, and you have all these kinds of skeleton dies and some texture and all sorts there for you. So a really great set with lots of versatility, not forgetting this one as well. So once you've either cut them out of pattern paper by scissors or by dies, or you've stamped them and coloured them if you wanted to, you could do that as well. Oh, I'm not getting these in here now. There we go. Then what you end up with, or what you need to start this card really, is this is a slimline card. So I've already cut my Misty Moonlight card out and folded it in half to create this slimline card. Let's get rid of that. I've got a piece of black here. I've got a piece of mint macaron. I'm sure it's mint macaron. I'm trying to think now if it is or not. I'm sure it is. Let's go with that. I'm going to go mint macaron. Now I have put this through an embossing machine. So that's exactly the same machine, but these are embossing plates, embossing folders, because it looks like a folder. It's, you know, whatever you want to call it. And you can add texture and emboss or deboss a pattern onto pattern paper. So normally a lot of our cards will be this size, and so you manage to get that amount. You put your piece of card, so before we started, piece of card in like that, and you put that through the machine, it squeezes it and it leaves this pattern. But these dies aren't long, you can't do the whole piece of paper in one go. So I have put that through like that and put it through my machine, and then I've turned it round and just slightly overlap the image and run it through again, because it's not going to do anything to this because there's nothing on it, but it only does things to the bits that are poked into the folder. Now, yes, you have got a bit of a line, so if I really point that out now, you can see the line. But I bet when I showed you that you didn't spot it, because I've kind of just used my fingers and my nails a bit to flatten it, so it's not quite as obvious as it was. And then I just make sure that some things are over it. So if you look really hard, you can see that bit there and that bit there and that bit there, but you're not looking for it because it's covered with that butterfly and covered with this sentiment, so it doesn't stand out as obvious as it would be. And it depends on the pattern that you've got as well. So some of these can be, you don't get the join and all that, but this is a way of doing it. So that was what I used. So let's get on with this, shall we? So simple enough to start with. Now, I don't give measurements on my videos, only because I'll get them wrong. That's one of the reasons I'll get it wrong anyway. But I do a PDF for every card that I make, and I put it in my creative download library. Now that's a monthly subscription for £12.95 a month, available globally, worldwide obviously. It is A4 measurements, so it works for the South Pacific and Europe. Americans, it doesn't work for your card sizes, but if you're looking for instruction and pictures and things like that, and you can work out your own measurements because you're a reasonably competent crafter, then obviously you've got all those ideas to hand as well. So the PDF has got all the measurements on there as well, and as I say, and pictures and that. So going to be using, just putting this black piece on here. I haven't put anything on the Misty Moonlight. Sometimes I would have stamped an image on the background or sort of watermarked or something, but we're keeping it simple today. So I'm putting this in the middle. I've used my multi-purpose glue there because I want to try, if I could get my card straight, that should give me a couple of seconds wiggle room. I'm running out of time, there we go, to make sure my blue border at the top and bottom are pretty much equal. And then this is flat on here too. So again, just liquid glue. And then put that, again, just making sure I've got an even border on the black and my card is as straight as it's going to be. There we go. Ooh. Happy with that. So then I'm going to take my die cut stroke cutout images, whether they're paper or stamped in this case. So we're going opposites, in fact. So look, that butterfly is on the outside there, but whereas we're going to be in the middle here, and this one is what is underneath there, and they're going to go on the outside this time. So we're going to do that. Now they are all raised up to give the card some dimension. So I've got, that's been cut out of vellum. So again, just run through with some vellum, and that's going to go over the top of there. So in fact, let's put that on there now, first of all. So just a tiny bit of glue down that middle. Doesn't need to be stuck anywhere else because I kind of want it flapping a little bit. And again, don't worry about the glue, because what we're going to be covering that, I mean, it will dry reasonably clear anyway, but we're going to be covering that with some rhinestones anyway, some gems. So I'm going to get my dimensionals. So these are just 3D foam tape. Make sure I put that on to make sure my card's opening the right way. It wouldn't be the first time that I've put it on upside down and had to send it to Australia. So one on each wing works. If you want them to not be stuck down completely, you could kind of bend them a little bit, and then you could have them kind of like that, but you'd probably have to then box your card rather than envelope it, because you would have you'd added even more dimension to it. And obviously if you're sticking it through the post, it's going to, oh, don't stick that there. It's going to cost some more money to ship it if you're sending it in a box. Right, so I'm going to put the two of these on first, the outside ones, because then I can make sure that my middle one is kind of as central as it could and should be. Okay, so that is going, dimensions for that as well. So just double-sided foam tape, as I say, and you can layer as many of these up as you like. If you wanted to double one, just you take this piece of paper off and just put another one on. But that's where we're going to put that. And I'm looking now at the borders here and making sure I'm straight, or as straight as can be, straight as my eye can see. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then I've got these, she says, elegant faceted gems, and you've got some clear ones, some kind of pinky colour ones, and some white ones. And I've used the white ones in this case. I just need to find, oh, there it is. I'll take my pick tool, dangerous thing that it is. And I might go clear this time. Oh no, I went white because actually I've got a couple on that sentiment as well. So in fact we might have to go bigger. So these are self-adhesive, so they've already got glue on them. There we go. And so I'm just sliding a pin underneath, or my point underneath. So some people use tweezers, some people use scissors, some people use a point. I could use the other end of this. This is you take your pick tool. It's got a bit of putty on the end. I'll just do that. There we go. And he's quite happy. I think I'm going to stick with 3. Odd numbers is always good. And they're the slightly bigger ones as well. So then we are on to our sentiment. So the sentiment comes from this gorgeous stamp set here called Vine Design. I just love the font in this, and it's just straightforward. Thank you, hello, happy birthday, congratulations, thinking of you and with sympathy. Kind of ticks a lot of bases, gives you a label to put them in that they all fit in, and then some flourishes and flowers as well. So I love, love, love this. It comes with a great, beautiful die set as well, but we're just using these sentiments to start with. So with all my birthday cards, all my butterfly cards that I did, I used white embossing. So to get that as white as it is and as bright as it is, we don't have white ink. I mean, there are some things as white ink, but they wouldn't be as bright as that on black card. So we get a piece of scrap paper, she says. That'll do. I'll use that for the time being. And I use a Versamark ink pad. So a Versamark ink pad is also called a watermark stamp pad, because it would leave a watermark, tone-on-tone watermark stamping if we were using it for that, but we're not using it for that today. We're using it because it's filled with acrylic, which basically means that it's sticky, which means that powder sticks to it, which is what we want. So there's my happy birthday, and I'm putting it in there. Now you're not going to see it because it's clear ink, so you're not going to see it on this black. say that, I can see it. You can probably see it if I hold it up. You can just kind of see, there we go, you can just see it there. So that is sticky at the moment because it's glycerin. And then I want to put over, so it means that fine powder will stick to it. So I'm going to get my white embossing powder, I have in a bigger pot, and I'm going to throw it all over there. Whee! There we go. And then I'm just going to tap off anything that hasn't stuck. So a bit of a flick. And there we go. If I'm not happy with that I'm just going to put some more back on, which I can do by just doing that. That's better. Right, and then anything that hasn't been used can just go back in my pot for another time. I did wonder how much of it was going to stick to it, given that it's plastic. A bit static, but there we go. Always put your white embossing powder away so that you don't knock it over. And then if you have got any stray bits, because as soon as I'm going to heat this and it's going to melt. So anything like this that I don't want on there, that's just stuck, because it will stick to any oils off your fingers. If you've got anything that's kind of caught, like I think I've got a hair there. And just literally just get rid of each grain of embossing powder that you don't want. Obviously you will do a far better job than I'm doing now. The fact that I've got hair on my brush, I think. There we go. So you can leave that for a little while because the glycerin doesn't dry too quickly, but you can't leave it there for like overnight or anything like that. I think that's it. Oh, I'll do it now, I've just done that. And then you get your heat tool, which kind of looks a little bit like a hairdryer but isn't. It's a lot hotter than a hairdryer. You can't use a hairdryer for this. You can hold it over the heat of a toaster, but don't burn your fingers, please. But if you do like the embossing effect, and it is one of the first kind of wow, we love this, that most card makers do, just invest in a heat tool. I've had one for 25 years and it's still going strong. So, mind your ears and just heat. Right, so you saw how long that takes. It doesn't take long at all, and that powder has now melted, and you can now see it's a lot brighter. Don't rub your finger across it now because it will be burning hot. You will burn yourself, but just leave it for about 20 seconds or so, and then it will be cool. It would also smear as well because it just needs to dry. Once you've melted it, it just needs to kind of harden again. So just leave it to one side for a little bit. And that's how you're going to get your bright white sentiment. So I did here's another one I did earlier, and I've kind of cut that to size. So just to do my flag ends, there's two different ways I could do that. So I do have, she said, reaching over, one of these punches here. And this is great because I just need to pop that. I'm going to do it upside down so I can see, because I know it's not going to go straight. I haven't cut this to, you've got 1/2 inch, I think 3/4 of an inch and an inch. That does it, that's better. And just punch that, and that gives you a flagged end. But you can also just get a pair of scissors, trying to find the middle along here, cut up the middle first, and then in from each corner. If you try and cut in from each corner first, you won't end up in the middle, they won't be equal. Trust me, I know. So there's two different ways of doing that. Sometimes flags, especially if you're doing lots of them, and you do cut them, so that's obviously just short of an inch. You cut them an inch wide or 3/4 of an inch wide or whatever, and just poke them in there, chunk, 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 chunk. It's a much quicker job. But you can do it with scissors, just like I've shown there as well. And I'm going to add that with a couple of dimensionals as well, because everything on the front of the card is sticking up. There you go, just make sure they're stuck on. Take the paper off. And again, so I'm going to make sure that a good portion of my my crease is hidden. So that's going to go there like that. And then I'm going to get another couple of these white, oh, take the lid off, help. This is just putty on the end, and it does kind of run out and stop being sticky. So you just replace it. And we have replacements for those. There we go, that'll do. You just keep twisting it until it runs out, and then you just get a replacement putty. So that's good for sequins and things like that. So that is my very similar card. So butterflies round the other way, but there is 2 slimline butterflies. Say if you don't have the paper, you can use the stamps and stamp them and colour them in with whatever colouring medium you like. And I'm going to leave it there. So you will find in the description links to all the products that I've used today. If there is anything that you fancy buying, please go ahead and purchase it. And if you've got any questions, then just message me or tag me in any of these posts, and I will answer any questions that you've got. And say if you want the measurements for these PDFs and all of that, come and join the Creative Download Library. You'll see a link for that in the description as well. But I'm going to leave it for you now. Wish you a happy rest of the weekend, and I'll be back again on Wednesday. I'm on my Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/The Card Making Academy. Again, link in the description. And I'll be live there Wednesday at midday, as I am every week, with another card. I will see you then. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.